The Old English epic Beowulf documents the complete operational history of a Scandinavian warrior. The narrative bypasses a traditional origin story to track his career, moving from his days as a foreign mercenary to his final years as an aging monarch. This map of Scandinavia illustrates the geographic context. Beowulf deploys from Gotland in modern-day Sweden, crossing the sea to Daneland. The timeline below plots his 3 combat operations: a youthful intervention, a rapid underwater escalation, and a fatal defensive stand. Tracking this 3-part life cycle provides a direct look into the Anglo-Saxon worldview. A warrior's physical life is understood to be temporary, but a flawless operational reputation outlasts death. This threat matrix stat card quantifies the initial crisis in Daneland. King Hrothgar's mead-hall, Heorot, the central political and social building of the Danish kingdom, has endured a 12-winter siege by a hostile combatant named Grendel. To break this stalemate, Beowulf arrives with a specialized squad of 14 Geatish soldiers. Recognizing that standard weapons have failed against Grendel, Beowulf discards his armor and sword. He relies entirely on his grip strength, grappling the attacker barehanded and tearing off Grendel's arm at the shoulder to force a fatal retreat. This reliance on unarmed combat introduces the governing logic of the poem, weird. Weird is the Anglo-Saxon concept of fate, dictating that a warrior's ultimate victory or death is predetermined by destiny, making protective equipment secondary to raw courage. The initial victory provokes an immediate, lethal reprisal. Grendel's mother breaches the hall and murders Esker, one of the Danish king's senior counselors, dragging his body back to the local fen marshes. This strike triggers the legal and moral obligation of weregild. Weregild is the Germanic system of blood price, requiring survivors to either extract a financial penalty or enact proportional vengeance for a slain kinsman. Bound by this code, Beowulf pursues the attacker into her subterranean underwater lair. This split-screen matrix compares the shifting combat requirements between the surface and the flooded underwater cavern. Beowulf's standard human sword fails to pierce his target's hide in the water, and he survives only by locating an ancient giant forged sword inside the cave, using it to decapitate both the mother and Grendel's corpse. By invading the lair, Beowulf proves that the heroic code prioritizes immediate, decisive retaliation at the source of a threat. Passive mourning is rejected in favor of lethal, offensive action. Following the Danish operations, Beowulf returns across the sea, transfers his acquired wealth to his liege lord, King Hygelac, and eventually assumes the Geatish throne. He governs peacefully for 50 winters. This stability shatters when a local thief steals a gold cup from a burial mound, awakening a fire-breathing dragon. The creature retaliates with a scorched earth aerial campaign, burning Geatish homesteads and the king's own hall. This tactical unit chart plots the breakdown of Beowulf's final operation. He leads a hand-picked squad to the dragon's barrow, but when the aged king's iron sword shatters against the creature's skull, 10 of his 11 retainers abandon their positions and flee into the woods. Only one soldier, Wiglaf, holds the line. Wiglaf is a young Geatish warrior experiencing his first combat deployment, who steps forward to assist his lord. Together, they kill the dragon, but Beowulf sustains a lethal, venomous bite to the neck. The poem separates the duties of a young fighter from those of an old sovereign. The ultimate test of a ruler is the willingness to sacrifice their own life to neutralize an existential threat to their citizens. In the immediate aftermath, Wiglaf assumes command of the Geatish forces. He publicly shames the 10 fleeing soldiers, permanently stripping them and their families of their land rights and inherited wealth. This punishment enforces the strict boundaries of comitatus. Comitatus is the foundational Germanic loyalty code, requiring a lord to provide wealth and weapons in exchange for his retainer's absolute willingness to die for him in battle. Following Beowulf's final orders, the Geats cremate his body and construct a massive burial mound high on the cliffs of Whalesness. The barrow is engineered to serve as a permanent navigational beacon for passing sailors. The physical destruction of the hero and his pyre confirms the poem's central thesis. Fate guarantees that every warrior will eventually fall, but eternal life is secured exclusively through unflinching loyalty and sacrifice.